Sometimes we look at ourselves, at where we are. We keep telling stories of how successful we are. I think I read my story here. He talked about all the successes and achievements. If I gave him the other side of that story about my own failures, there would be many pages. So I thought about that. Where have I made mistakes on these things? Diversification, resilience, and mind the risk. One was, let me start with diversification. In 2007, a company called VMware went public. VMware, huh? You know it, huh? And that time I was working still on Wall Street. I'm a trained engineer, so I understood quite a bit of what they were doing. They were the first ones to come and do this proper parallel processing, yeah? Where you take, and it was supposed to be the revolutionary way to do business going forward, or computing going forward. They went public, and their stock was just rising every day, 10, 15%. It was around October. Unfortunately, I lost my dad October of 2007, okay? Right before I left to come and bury my father, I said, by the time I come back, I want to be rich. So I took all my savings and put it on what? VMware. And I said, I need to close my eyes, go to Kenya, bury my dad, come back, and I'll be rich. Have you ever felt that? Huh? Have you ever gone bought a plot somewhere and said you'll be rich? Right? It's exactly how I felt. I put a lot of money, all my savings on VMware. I flew to Kenya. And that time, internet had come. So we had the internet, we had the BlackBerry. So on my BlackBerry, I'll be able to get stock prices at the end of the day, yeah? So I come home, and for the first few days, you don't have time to look at anything because you're busy organizing. And I swear to God, by the time, obviously the stock was rising nicely, so I'm kind of happy. Then something happened and stock turned while I was still in Kenya. And it started going down faster than it had gone up. True story. On the day we're burying my father, okay? Late afternoon, when the market opens in New York, I opened my BlackBerry. And the stock had gone down $20. Okay? That meant whatever money I had put, it was now half. Okay? My friends, I cried like a baby. The good thing is, everybody thought I was crying because I'm burying who? My dad. If only they knew. I was actually crying because my wealth, I'd seen it go down by half. And I couldn't wait to finish the burial to go and call my broker to sell. And that's what I did. Okay? The stock had gone, I bought it at 80. It went to 120. By the time I was selling it, it was at 50. Okay? In a matter of a week and a half. What are my failures? One was diversification. And I think that's what the ICA chart here was telling us. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And don't believe in get-rich-quick schemes. Plan for the long term. Resilience. Plan for resilience. And yes, I was happy I got out at about 50 because the stock came down. I looked at the numbers today. It went all the way to 20. But it went all the way back 220 by 2019. If only I had been resilient, isn't it? If only I had been. So, as you plan your future, the future is long. You don't need to get rich today. Make your investments for the long term and give it time. But also be diversified because there'll be shocks. The same with companies. Be diversified, there'll be shocks, which is why as NCBA, we do all the things we do. We recently bought an insurance company. We do investment banking. We do bank assurance. We do digital banking. We do a lot of things. You have to be quite diversified because there are times something fails and something else will work. The second reflection I had, as I said, was on mind the risk. Mind the risk. So let me tell you another mind the risk mistake I once made, which cost me a lot of money. Can I tell you? So the year was 2004. 2004. It's a long time ago. Most of you here were probably not born. Yes, I was young once. 2004. As a young man, I had bought some rental properties in Newark, New Jersey, in the U.S. I lived in the U.S. that time. So I bought some rental properties. The market was hot. Yeah, so you bought properties and property prices were just going up. Then I moved in 2004 to another city. And so I was selling my properties. And one particular property I had, it was a 4-tenant, had four units in it. And I got somebody who was interested in buying it. They signed for a very good price, and between the signing of the contract to when it will close was about 90 days, isn't it? It takes about 90 days. During that time, 90 days, the tenant that I had not been paying rent for like 5 months. Okay? So I promised myself I have to get rid of this one tenant. I had 4 tenants, so one of them was not paying. But every time I would come, or rather I would send my people, she would disappear. Okay? Happens. These Americans, they also disappear. No, it's not just Kenyans. She would disappear. Okay. And she had young kids. I should add that. So you'd find she's not there, but the kids are there. And this happened. She would clearly know because she would look whether there's a car coming, and she would know. She knew my car or my caretaker's vehicle as well. So she would just hide. And this went on for quite some time. We got some letters to evict her. So we're going to evict her. And this day we went to evict her. Again, she disappeared. But this was now about, I would say, 2 weeks to close the transaction, right? 2 weeks. Okay. Now, a month before then, exactly 1 month, my insurance on the house had run out. Okay? And me being Kenyan, I said, I don't need insurance because I am selling. So I didn't buy. I didn't renew insurance. Okay? So I come to evict her. Again, she does exactly the same thing. I say, fine. Make sure I come now during the week. I'll take another car or something else. Make sure we find her. Just when I get home, the following day I get a call. What's the problem? Are you so-and-so? Yes. Are you the owner of this building? Yes. We've had an incident. I'm like, what's the incident? Your tenant has complained that their child has gotten lead poisoning. You know what lead poisoning is? Yeah? You know, I see those who know buildings know what lead poisoning is. A lot of paint used to be made with lead for the pigmentation. Lead is a very dangerous chemical. Yeah? So a lot of countries have now banned lead-based paint. Lead is that element. I think the symbol is what PB, I think it was. Okay? I said, which tenant? And I'm told so-and-so. Is so-and-so not your tenant? I was like, you gotta be kidding. You got to be kidding. It is the delinquent tenant whose child has just gotten. Now in America, lead poisoning is a big deal, right? So you're responsible for a lot of money, okay? Usually insurance covers you. So the first thing I did was to call my insurance company. I said, you realize this has happened, yeah? Okay. They came, actually, they said, okay, we'll take over the case. They took over the case. Then a few days later, they come back and say, oh, by the way, your insurance, yeah, lapsed 2 weeks ago. And you had it renewed. I said, what do you mean I had renewed? Check is in the mail. No, I'm sorry. Between this incident happened during those 2 weeks when you're not covered. Okay? Yes, my friends, I sold the building. Okay? But I had a case that ran for 4 years. Okay? I spent $70,000 on lawyers. And eventually settled the case. Why am I telling you these stories? These are real stories, real mistakes I have made personally. I'm telling you this because the information we are gathering in this conference is that important. It is that important for our own personal lives. Diversification, very important. Resilience, extremely important. And minding the risks, you must do.